Give it up for Danielle DiMartino.
Danielle DiMartino.
Danielle DiMartino Booth. Hey, folks, that's the question a lot of people are asking right now. In fact, Peter Navarro recently wrote a piece where he said Powell probably could be considered maybe the worst Fed president in history, Fed chair in history. I mean, that's tough stuff. Arthur Burns probably said, okay, rooting on this one. And I know if you read a headline like that, you say, well, that's political. Well, earlier this year, Gallup did a survey, and Americans in general, have very little confidence in Powell. So I want to bring back our power panel, Sonali Basak, along with Danielle DiMartino Booth. And Danielle, we've talked about this. You were an ardent Powell supporter for a long time, and more recently, you've been a little disappointed.
So I have been disappointed in Powell of late because he appears to me to have been political. But we have to step back. If you're talking about the man's legacy, he actually kept interest rates higher for longer than anybody since Paul Volcker was in office. He really did. And we're seeing what the backlash is against this. We wouldn't be seeing these events in private credit and in the junk market if it wasn't for the fact that yields were held so high for so long. That's on Powell.
Here's the thing, the way I look at it, Sonali. I feel like it's, if you watch football, every now and then you'll see the kicker miss the extra point. To the left. Then next thing you know, they miss it again. Guess where they miss it? To the right. I feel like Powell's been off kilter, and he has never truly caught up. You know, ever since the temporary, inflationary comment, I feel like he just hasn't gotten under his skis, to Jim's point.
I do think that the books have been written a little too soon on the Fed chair at the moment. I don't know that he's been political, but I think he has been certainly, if not fighting politics, I think he's also been fighting fiscal pressures and also a lot of idiosyncratic things in between. You think about whether he was late to fight inflation. I think it's hard for anyone to say that he was late, right? The Fed was late to fight inflation. Now, are they late to support the labor market? I see them doing that right now. And so as long as they continue to support the labor market.
But here's I guess the point, though, is that they're doing it now. But again, is it late? Like, I mean, if you think about it, and I guess this also goes to his just deep-seated love for the process. Like, they don't want to use any new information. What new
information are they getting right now?
Well, I'm just saying, forget about the government shutdown. I'm talking about all this high-frequency data that's out there. I saw an article about whether we were going to launch missiles once, and they knew from a restaurant near the Pentagon how many people were eating dinner late that night, and whether or not if they were eating dinner late, ordering late, that meant we were getting war plans together. In other words, there's so many ways to connect dots. You can do it at home as an armchair general. I mean, there's more ways to decipher this economy than these old, antiquated government surveys that get revised.
Let's not stoke fear over the labor market right now. Where are we right now? We're in low hire, low fire, and what we're trying to not get to is a labor market that's falling off a cliff. Is that fair?
I'm going to push back just a little bit because even with that old, antiquated, dusty official data, in the last 12 months, 6 of those months we've seen greater outflows from the labor market, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, than we've seen inflows. Every single time, excluding COVID, the 3 recessions that preceded it, once you get to that level of the job market is destroying more jobs than it's creating, and it persists for as long as it has.
Right.
We've been in recession every single time, and that's data that the Fed has had to fall back on, even that old moldy official stuff.
Let me ask you a question. What is the Fed supposed to do about AI coming into the job market and taking jobs? What is the Fed supposed to do about longer-term interest rates?
That's structural, and you can't.
Yeah.
The Fed has no control over it. That's true. But I'm not just speaking about AI. We're talking about a longer-term trend of, and as you said earlier, Charles, small businesses are really having a hard time.
And this is where I think the Fed should take some accountability because, AI is not the problem for them right now. It's been access to capital. It's been refinancing debt. And that's where the Fed could have come to the rescue. I think the honest truth, the real honest truth, is they look at everything in aggregate. They don't care how they get there. If retail sales are strong and one person went out and bought everything for sale, fine. and everyone else couldn't afford to barely pay their rent, it's okay. And I just think that's where the problem comes in. Now, I'm not sure how you solve that, but I want a Fed that's willing to think about solving that.
That's the shame of the problem, isn't it? When you look at corporate America, spreads have been ultra tight. It has been so easy to borrow money. That's not the case for smaller businesses, medium-sized businesses, and even many Americans as well. So, again, though, the mortgage rate issue is not solved by necessarily lowering interest rates at the short end. So how do you solve it? To your point, creative solutions are a good idea.
Here we go. Jay Powell, the man of the moment.